one.
Really? I can help you with that fantasy.
No, but
just come around to Milne at 12:30 in the morning.
I'm reading that fantasy time and time again, and it's not.
Yeah.
Under absolutely no pressure to meet any deadlines or anything. Just slowly whittling away the day.
Can we throw in barrel ones to
no,
basement?
Didn't say that. Didn't say that.
No, but it's part of the job. So.
For everyone that's just tuned in, we're talking about Scotty's polishing glass fantasy.
Yeah, it's just that sort of grumpy old, probably an American saloon style, just behind a bar.
Yeah.
I reckon that's how I see myself sometimes.
All right.
I think we're live on Oak Barrel. I think we're live on Society. Bailey, you want to give us a quick check there?
Yeah. I'll just give it a quick check.
Quick check while you're polishing a glass. But to everyone, welcome to round, I have no fucking idea, of Whisky Round Table.
I think we're at 16.
16? There you go.
Round table 16. That's 16 weeks of this. Evening, everyone from
I don't know, we just pick a number and go, yeah. Say it.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when we did 13, I just plucked that out of the air thinking, it feels like about the 13th time we've done this.
1 billion episodes.
It's the special edition version because it's my sister's birthday today. She's clearly tuning in with the kids watching us too.
Happy birthday!
It's also my father's birthday today.
Oh. It's Simon Senior.
It's Simon Senior. I'm drinking a beer for the first time ever on one of these live streams.
You're drinking beer?
Well, there was the Boat Rocker one, but apart from that, I'm drinking beer. Because as some of you know, I spend my August not drinking alcohol because it always is my busiest month. And so I find new things every year to sort of get into. 2 years ago, it was sort of non-alcoholic wine, which was tough, was really tough. Last year was a lot of mocktails and that sort of thing, and PS sodas. This year, it's been soda water and bitters. And my latest discovery, Heaps Normal, non-alcoholic beer. I got into the sober stuff a little bit. You guys know the sober stuff, but this has been this is the best non-alcoholic beer I've had.
Right.
Ever. It's really good. Actually, tastes like
wow.
beer. So I've got my 4-pack with me tonight, so ready to go.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Good story. Great chat so far. Well done.
This is going to be wild. I'm just going to get...
Yeah, we can feel it's wild in here right now.
Yeah. Wait for it. I'm only on my first whiskey. It'll get there.
Yeah. A good day to everyone coming through on the various chats from the various locations. But we missed last week. We sort of got caught up with our own things. What has everyone been up to? A couple of you guys haven't spoken to for 14 days.
I know. It's a while when we don't talk. I miss you all.
Oh,
I miss you all. But we got, I just want to say that Mr. Matt Bailey, what a fucking live last night. You did such a great job. I sat and watched the whole thing. I even turned the TV off just so I could concentrate on what you were saying. But snaps for such a great live. Yeah. We need more of that in the world, and well done.
Thank you. The feedback from last night has actually been overwhelming today and last night. It's been great. So I appreciate that you watched it. It was good fun. And for those wondering, so that they know what we're talking about, I talked about generosity. The topic was generosity in this trade, amongst each other, amongst the community, amongst those who work in it, those who enjoy it, and whatnot. And it was whoa.
So we've lost Milne a little bit there, so we might try and get him back in a second.
I'm just going to sit back a bit.
Alex hasn't prepped her camera for that view, so
no.
I'm enjoying having this power, to be honest. We're getting back.
Repost from the live chat says Harry. Andy's on Australian NBN. Yeah,
and Mark also says that you did a great job last night too.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, and Mark was tuned in. I really appreciate that feedback because it might be more of those, but it was just a chance for us to talk about, because everyone's always there's always that rush. So I sort of mentioned last night, there's always that rush to what's coming up next and working on and the topics and whatnot. But taking a step back and seeing, especially over the last 5-6 months, how we've all evolved from this, and which is sort of the topic from tonight, isn't it?
Mm.
A couple of comments coming there, because we're going to a few different locations tonight, so there might be some people that missed it. Is that still live on the Society page?
Yeah, you can catch it on the page,
Yeah.
on the group, or on YouTube. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it was a belter, and snaps to you. Like, you really did such a great job.
Oh, thanks so much, Alex. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Yes.
I thought you sucked personally, but that's just...
I'm waiting for that, Scotty. Thank you. That's always appreciated.
Oh, I love that we can see the comments on the site. That's really
that's really
awesome.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to look at all the other pages and stuff for it, which is nice.
Yeah, so that's the point of this one. So we are we're being a little bit meta about tonight's stream because we are using a new format to try and bring everything into one location. So if anyone remembers back when we had Mariella from Aranon, it was a spectacular failure when we tried this, but people keep rolling out new software updates and that sort of thing. So this seems like it's looking okay at the moment. But if we disappear at any point, that's it. But we did come up, I guess that sort of leads into what we were sort of talking about is what we wanted to talk about tonight, that we've been forced into, or the industry and all industries have been forced into a virtual reality. Now, particularly, Matt, you were doing a lot more streams this time last year before pandemics. We were doing a little bit of it, but nowhere near as much as you guys. But now that everyone's sort of got their footing in this a little bit, I want to sort of have a talk about, as almost a new normal now, what we actually think of these virtual experiences, what's working well and what's potentially not working. But I like, I think, what Alex, you were saying then about like just a really positive, live stream is the sort of chats we have at the bar, but has it now that everyone's come across onto virtual tasting? So, I mean, that's probably a good point. We want to see more of that. What sort of things do we want to, see, and from you guys who've been part of them, but also watched a lot of them, what other virtual things has caught you?
I think Andy started this whole conversation of like, now that we're all doing this online, whereas previously a lot of us did it, or a lot of brands did actual events on premise. And with this actually going out via venues, via, for example, Oak Barrel, we're actually getting, I think, a greater reach of people that, can't make it into town, as you said, Andy. And I think with all these live streams that we've got going now and all these different whiskey events and it all being virtual, it's getting such a wonderful reach. And I think it's actually hitting people that, don't live in Sydney or Melbourne or Brisbane that can get to these events. So I actually think it's all super positive. While I want you all in a venue, especially one of mine, I think that this is just such a wonderful reach in capturing new audiences.
Yeah,
I agree.
100%.
I think it's that accessibility to, it's from a mixture of having a venue and a retailer that's got enough people that can support it and then back it up with sales and so forth to make it, seem worthwhile on paper. Because generally any good event is a good event, but sometimes on paper it has to be read in a different way. But I think it's loads of people are saying, we'll travel down to Melbourne and we'll travel down to Sydney to this event, but it's a weekend for them because they'll go down, they'll stay the night, and they're going to have to get a hotel and so forth. So, I think just actually, everyone across the country gets on an equal playing field. It just actually means, we're all able to learn and develop at the same rate rather than sort of having, regional Australia as being, okay, well, you're second best because you don't get as many reps going out, you don't get as many BAs going out to see you. And so your consumer in that area is getting fewer opportunities to learn. And, as such, the venues are going, I probably don't need that, fancy bottle of whiskey or that fancy bottle of tequila because I don't have anyone here that cares or knows about it. So it's a chicken and egg, but, it's great that finally we're able to level the field.
I think it's a really important point about regional because as we've seen that at SMWS, it's like a lot of the virtual events are being bought by people by members out in regional areas, and Scotty, you've been doing regional events for Oak Barrel in the past, which have been, as you've said, hugely well received because ambassadors and BAs and whatnot, and sales reps don't go out that far. In fact, some sales reps don't even make it as far as Surrey Hills. So it's like, but you're doing ones out in was it Bathurst and
Dubbo,
sorry, yep. That's cool. I think that's fantastic, and the fact that people can engage with it. All they need is just an internet connection, and they've got it.
And let's hope they've got a good NBN connection, right?
Yeah.
But Matt, you've been doing this for a year straight now, going live each week, and that was pre-COVID, correct?
Yeah. Almost 18 months now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's just all kind of flowed on. I suppose we're all catching up to you guys, right?
No,
you and Oak Barrel.
Yeah, I did. Well, yeah. I mean, I decided to go, as I've talked about before. I decided to go live in around May last year, and it was every single day for a good 9 months.
Yeah.
Including Saturdays and Sundays. So 7 p.m.
I remember doing one in the alleyway at the back of the Oak Barrel after tasting here, because you had to go live in between the Oak Barrel and the pub we were going to. So I walked past it after I'd turned the lights off, and you were in the alleyway doing a live stream.
Yeah. I wanted to maintain the 7 p.m. and that's why I was like, I had to. Oh yeah, we're at the Oak Barrel and had to duck out and hook my phone up to the tripod and everything, and I'll be back in 20 minutes. And it's like, and quickly popped out a live stream and then came back. It's disruptive to regularity of life, but it was good. And still doing it Monday to Friday every day, but yeah.
But there is quite a lot of logistics that go in behind these live streams, especially if you're sending packs out and tasting kits out. I know the logistics that we're currently going through at Milne, Melbourne, to do 100 covers on a Saturday night via takeaway.
Oh yeah.
The logistics for that is insane. Like our media and communications manager, Maddie Noonan, is now basically Chief Australia Post Office at Milne. And I know I saw you packing boxes the other day, Matt. There's quite a lot of work that goes into it logistically, and you got to have your shit together too. It's not just about pulling glasses out of boxes the night before.
No, it's true. And big shout out to Susie and Donnell in our team. That they've just been helping sticker and pack and put all those boxes together.
Yeah.
Like the Oak Barrel ones that I dropped off the other week for you, Scotty. The blind ones. They're that's.
I don't have an arms reach. I do have a couple of others, but I know more about that stretchy paper than I ever knew.
Wood wool.
Yeah, wood. That's what it's called. I prefer stretchy paper. But we've come up with some new department names for the Oak Barrel. So I'm actually head of the sticker department as well. A bit of a drama today. That the sticker template was a little bit late, so there was some boxes were about 10 minutes late getting to Ozpost because the sticker department wasn't up to scratch. But we're getting there. We've fired a few people in the sticker department, and we'll be back next week. But there's a few comments coming through. The international guests. I think that's like
that was great.
You can't get to Tasmania, you can't get to Sydney, you can't get to Cairns like every night. Same thing, you can't get to France, and French people can't get here, and Scottish people, and we're talking about doing some South American and North American stuff as well.
And I think it works a lot better.
Go on, sorry.
Sorry, I think it works a lot better in this format to bring someone in from international. If you were doing it in a venue in person, I've done it before, and it's quite clunky, and it's been really hard to do it well, to sort of stream someone into a live venue and then have them talk to the group. So it's a lot easier to do it in this platform than to go into a venue and be like, and now we're streaming someone from America. And it's just like, it doesn't work.
Yeah. We've had issues with that as well.
I mean, we've had international guests. You guys weekly have international guests on both your streams. It seems to be a really good format. I think Whisky and Almond are doing a fantastic job at it. Elysian went live last week as well. Things that the Whisky List are doing there. Is it Game of Drams or that was?
It was the Whisky Show. Whisky Show.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, so I suppose that brings us up to an amazing topic that we're going to talk about, a live event tonight, right, Scotty?
Yeah, we can talk about the Whisky Forum if we want to.
Don't be coy. Come on, it's all.
Yeah, it's shit out. It's going to be a disaster. But I think it's. Before we get onto that, I just want to ask another question, or just make another comment from my point of view. Is Matt, like you were doing it a lot. We at the Oak Barrel were doing this sort of thing. We weren't doing that sort of formal, here is the samples, come. We were just doing once a week, Joey and Scotty, get drunk and talk rubbish. Which
Which
goes
is
down
what
quite
this
well,
is.
apparently. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I feel like, what are we now, 5-6 months where people have really got into this, sort of found their feet. So now it's about creating good content that's not just there for the sake of being a virtual tasting. We've got different states of Australia, different countries in the world at different levels of lockdown and restrictions and all that sort of thing. So now I think the really important thing is not just putting virtual live stream content up there for the sake of it, but what is going to drag people in? Like, what is that? How we take that next thing? The same thing we were talking about every time we ran a tasting here at the Oak Barrel, and that was more about, okay, we're going to do a tasting from Distillery X or Distillery Y or Style X or Style Y. What's in that lineup that makes this a little bit different, that little bit better? For me, that's where I'm starting to think about, okay, live streams a dime a dozen. What is the next thing that's going to be quite good? And that's sort of why I put that in that comment in the little image we put up at the Savo, is what can we improve on? What can we keep pushing on this?
Well, at Milne, through Speakeasy Group, we're actually, I don't know whether to say this or not, but we're actually working with big corporate companies at the moment to be able to send out cook-at-home live streams for their guests, their clients. We did one the other week for a big company where we sent out 30 boxes to 30 of their top clients, and then we did live streams of how to cook at home for them. We're also doing that with Whisky within Speakeasy Group, and we'll also be doing it with cocktails. So a lot of our stuff that we offer in venue, we're definitely changing it up and working with our corporate guests, because we can't get 150 in our venues anymore, and the biggest booking we can take is 10. So I suppose we're evolving and basically changing it all up to be able to take it to your home, or your office place. So that's one way that we're working on evolving it.
Yeah, the evolution of that is in terms of, like, as you say, it's like how you can, what you can do in home that best replicates or the overall experience of what you'd have in person. And it's like I got asked recently about the whole sort of doing live streams and talking, if I'm even doing a solo one or doing a tasting for a group. It's like you've got to bring that, first of all, you've got to bring that same energy you would to a live room.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like I don't want to sit there and sit at home. And, you're not just competing with other events anymore. You're competing with Netflix, whatever. You're competing with. They could be watching anything. They could be doing anything else. So if you have a good energy, I think on screen, helps.
Just like on-screen explosions every day.
Yeah. just a good energy as you would have in a live room. And I get that buzz just as I know Scotty does, and I know you do, Alex, as well. Just that buzz of when you're in front of a group of people hosting a tasting. It's like, damn, like I've been doing it for years now, as we all have, and you just go, that's so exciting to be in front of a group and to be able to host and talk about great whiskies. And so if you get to do that same thing virtually and bring that same level of energy is, I think, important. But and the collaboration side with other people, and likewise, Alex, we do a bunch of corporate bookings in SMWS, which is always fun.
Yeah.
And it's we've done 3 this month already, and they've been really good. And it's just adding a point of difference. It might be matching chocolates. It might be a collab with someone else. It might be a special guest, or different format, a challenge panel, or guess the whiskey formats and whiskey quiz formats. They're always fun. I mean, there's adding something that you would be able to do in person that you can also do digitally.
Yeah. I actually want to, because with Whiskey Forum coming up next week, we have like 12 nights of consistent. We lost him again. He's gone. So actually, like, before they actually run and happen next week, I want to ask you guys which one your piques your interest the most, because I think that would be an interesting comment. But before we get on to that, Crafty Field has put a couple of comments on there, and I was sort of leading into it, and sort of on what you said, Matt, in terms of it. Part of the challenge is being, getting interactivity with an audience, which you can do physically, beyond people just typing comments and questions via text. Like, how are you building that sort of thing? And I guess there's two angles to it. That concept of just asking a question is actually quite similar and probably a little bit more comfortable sitting on your lounge than sitting in a room. But sort of, how have you found, Matt, that sort of creating that interaction?
Well, I think a lot of the interaction is likewise what you've been doing in terms of just like taking people's questions live. If you're one of those presenters that, finally, I feel like I was getting, I was in the principal's office and being asked questions by the two above me here. But I was like, I think a lot of it, that interactivity, as Crafty mentions, is crucial in terms of taking questions live, in terms of like rolling with it. It's just like when someone throws a question to you in the room. In a live tasting, it's no different. It's finding that interactivity with an audience, and whether that be.
I think you can read that audience better as well in person. It's a lot easier.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
When you say something that is way over someone's head, and you sort of gone, okay, you're explaining something and go, actually, I need to take this down a tone. Or you're explaining something and everyone's like, yeah, I know this. Get on with the interesting stuff. And it's a lot harder when you can't see the whole group. Sort of like, oh.
We've all read that. We've all learned that the hard way, I think, or at least I know I have. I remember that one moment, like, would have been like 2015 or something, and I was hosting an event and I was talking about the society, and then someone said, what's the difference between a single malt and a blended whiskey? And I went, okay. So, I didn't read that properly, and I was like, I went off on some tangent. Yeah. And it was like, and that interactivity is much easier in person, because reading body language is easier when you're not just looking at yourself on a camera.
Yeah.
Can I like, all of those points are very, very true, and we're going down this sort of model, or this conversation of, this is what we enjoyed about physical tastings, how do we make that in virtual tastings? I think there's also an element of, let's embrace what we can do on virtual that we can't do on physical. And one of the things that I've found is, when you're in a room, and we're very lucky, we've got a very good community here at the Oak Barrel, and I'm sure it's the same in all the tastings you've done. As you get into a few whiskies and the crowd gets a little bit noisier and it becomes really fun, there are a couple of people generally who tend to be the loudest, the most confident to ask questions. Then there's people also in that room who are not as confident to ask questions. And so the virtual element flattens that conversation completely, because all of a sudden you can ask a question, there's no one yelling over you, you don't feel like you're going to be wrong. You don't even need to put, you don't have to put your face, you don't even put your name, you can be user 3947 but still ask your questions. So I think that's a really good point that we should be embracing.
Is that like when we use the mute button on Milne? Come on, guys. Work faster.
Come on.
That was funny.
I thought it was funny.
like when we get back to physical tastings, I'm going to actually, be like, where is the mute button to that person?
I'm just going to tape Milne's mouth up when he walks into a room. It's fine. Yeah. We'll be fine.
I mean, I don't think anything will ever compare to being in a room with a whole group of people drinking whiskey. Like, that's part of that generosity and that culture of whiskey and that friendship. But, I mean, in the meantime, this is great because we're actually probably a little bit more connected now with more people. And I think that's one of the biggest things about this is purely we can connect with the culture further out with live tastings at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think Robert brought a point up that he held tasting and then also had the...
that was Mark that said that.
Also Mark, and the live element as well. Like, far out, when we can do that, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, Mark was doing that in Launceston. I saw some photos from it. It looked bloody awesome. There was a live element as well as and I think that's really where we're headed in a lot of ways. Is having the best of both worlds. I mean, that discussion we've had before about, are they here to stay? Yes, it's here to stay. But how does that look as a hybrid?
Yeah, I'm reading them too. That's Freedom. What are we drinking?
Mark, you just need to get to about 1 a.m. Then free Milne it's full. It's
well, we get to about 10 p.m. after these live chats and mute him and push him out that way. I'm joking. We don't.
I'm going to get a call from my mum at the end of this. And you're right.
Hi, Mum. What are we drinking?
So
I know, obviously.
I'm on the sugar water.
Yep.
I'm Fortis.
Yes.
Oh. Hey, so what's a girl got to do to try that stuff?
Well, so we haven't So it's the
You got a
first
Starwood
batch
today.
has been released by Starwood directly. So we haven't got any stock yet. So we'll start selling it, I think, in a couple of months, I believe, but don't hold me quoted to that. But they were very kind enough to send me a bottle, just for all the hard work that we did with them last year. So clearly you just didn't do enough hard work for them last year that earned you a bottle.
That's got to be the
and that's the advantage of being virtual.
Off the back bar. I'm kidding. I love Starwood. Don't get me wrong. I fucking love them.
Can I just shout out to Graham and to Jared over at Starwood, who also sent me a bottle, and it's also been knocked off already. It's long gone, but the tortoise was lovely. Thank you very much.
I would love to try it. I'm putting it out there. If anyone's got a bottle, I'm at Milne most days. I just want to try it. Everyone's talking about it.
I'll come and see.
I've tried it, even though I don't drink alcohol in August. I tried it.
Oh, there's a comment from Vicky on the thread. Oh, how's
Hi, Mum.
Come on, get that up on screen now.
It was up on screen. I'll put it back.
Oh, there we go.
I haven't seen the family in a while, so this is probably the only time they get to see me.
Scotty got to try it purely because I came by here on the way home with my bottle, having just got it. So, well, if you open up a venue that's on my way home, then
I think my house is just near your office. Anyway,
come on in.
I got sent some Chief Sun this week, so that is what I'm trying. Currently on the pure malt.
Range, or are there new things?
So I got core range, and then I got 3 other bottles. So I'm starting on core for tonight, and I'm gonna save the other stuff for some for a special night.
Wednesday night feels pretty special. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not Taco Tuesday, but
Taco Tuesday.
I had tacos 2 days, so I made it Taco Tuesday and Wednesday.
Ooh.
And that's actually on an off topic. One thing that I've loved about
you going off topic? No.
Twist. Yeah, I know. Never do that. Is the amount of, I know you were talking about Milne take home, but the amount of restaurants, sort of fine dining restaurants, and sort of one of some of the best restaurants in Sydney, that flipped and sort of going, okay, you can get a takeaway pack to cook at home, and it's not it's not takeaway where you have to be next door at 8, and often the quality is superb, but it's that sort of cook at home packs. And I've had a couple from Fish Butchery, St. Peter's, that have been just some of the most amazing food that I know that I couldn't make to that level. So it's a big plus for me is Fish Butchery food without having to eat it. So.
Yeah, no, it does make a big difference. Maddie, what are you drinking?
I've just finished polishing glassware, and I don't have anything in my glass yet, but I was going to pour it.
Dirty, Sam.
Sorry, it comes in a glass?
Oh, yeah, hold on. Yeah, you don't even need a glass for anymore. It comes in glass, right? I'll shortly have a dram of 64.114, but only because I've been enjoying a nice refill Manic More. I'll have that in just a moment.
Can I say, on that, I reckon some of the society's best, consistently great distilleries is Manic More.
Yeah, it's a banger, isn't it? It's a 13-year-old refill Hoggy. And I bought it just off spec. I was just, that notes of Turkish delight and blood orange sorbet and all that kind of stuff. Lemon pie. Goodies.
I think outside that, about 5-6 years ago, maybe not quite, 4 or 5 years ago, there was that run of really young Bamors.
Oh, yes.
And they were all banging and crazy. Outside of that little pocket, which I loved, anything Manic More has been awesome. I don't think there's been another distillery that every time I've gone to that from Society, it's been as good.
Or 40, or 46 for me, which is just across the road behind 64, which I love.
Team Refill.
Team Refill. Hashtag Team Refill. Yes.
All right, Scotty, I'm gonna make it happen.
Okay, Alex.
Talk to me about the Sydney Whisky Forum.
So this year, There's a bit going on this year, funnily enough. I wanted to run Whisky Fair this year. I had every intention to run Whisky Fair this year. But there's these other things going on in the world, which we're probably all aware of, that it's not happening. So I have had a bit of a dream in the last few years about what Whisky Fair is and what Whisky Fair could be. And it sort of has gone from a 2-day event. Then we sort of do the distillers dinner on the Thursday. And we've slowly added things to try and make it a week-long celebration. I come from the music industry, as we've discussed at length on this in the past. And one of the things I loved about some of the big festivals and events, your big sounds, your Face the Musics, to a slightly lesser extent to your ARIA Week here, was how music or that industry just took over the city completely. And during the day, you would have panels and discussions and meetings and just sort of like talking to people. And then at night, you'd have all the gigs and all that sort of thing. And you were completely absorbed by it for a week. You wrote off everything else. You didn't look at email because you were just running into people, and that's how it happened. So I've sort of had this plan is to do that for Whisky Fair in the past, but I've just really never got it off the ground to do it properly. Like how good would it be if you had Archie Rose and Manly and distilleries and whiskey bars all doing stuff independently that was all under the banner and just sort of take over the year, but all like of quality, something that was actually giving back, not just running a 10% off whiskey across the bar for the sake of it, like actual information. So when we couldn't run a physical event, and that was pretty obvious pretty early on a few months ago that wasn't going to happen, we sort of thought, what were we going to do to replace it? And I watched overseas, particularly in Scotland, with like their virtual festivals, and there's been some excellent virtual whiskey festivals done in Australia, but I didn't want to do that model of here is a pack of 30 samples, send out, you get them, you drink along, and we either do like a live stream or you do it in your own time or whatever. That just didn't feel quite right for what the experience of Whisky Fair is. And again, for me, it felt a little bit like what we were talking about before. It was taking this thing that we like in the physical world. We can't do that anymore. Okay, let's do a photocopy version of it in the digital world. And I just couldn't quite feel that was quite right. So I thought, okay, well, what can we do is we can do what we have been doing, these sort of virtual things, but sort of make it into, take that like industry aspect, mini conference type idea and sort of roll it through. So yes, we got like 12 nights of various different things, but each one of those nights is quite unique and quite different and trying to replicate something that we have at Fair. So one of the first things that we came up with was speaking to Matt at the Society and going, okay, when you walk into Whisky Fair, there's probably going to be some whiskies you've tried before, but there'll be maybe one on each table. Then everything after that is either cask strength or unique or really where it's not an intro fair. It's quite high level. So how can we do that? Society obviously is an obvious candidate because everything they bottle is cask strength, everything is single cask, everything is very unique and rare and fascinating. We can do that. We can send up packs and do a tasting. Cool. But what else can we do that is that next little bit of knowledge? So in that case, next Friday night is a blind tasting where we're actually going to rope in some people from the wine industry to sort of talk us through when you're doing those big wine tests. And I know, Milne, you've had a bit of experience with this, like tasting blind and how do you actually do that? We've got international guests. We're doing, some new releases of people that would have been at the fair, backwards who have just jumped in there. They were going to launch at Whisky Fair this year. We can't launch. So they're part of our Distillers Dinner event, our virtual on the Thursday, which is going to be, 5 different distilleries with Sullivan's, with the new Chief's Son as well. Otter Craft Distillery are throwing in a new cask sample. And as well as tasting these whiskies, we're going to create this knowledge base of, okay, backwards, this is your first release. Sullivan's Cove, this is not your first release, but this is your refill cask coming into fruition, and tell all these different stories and the challenges. We, as hyper engaged consumers, we can have that. But then there's a little bit of a knowledge base to give to people. When people in January have that stupid idea, it's like, we should start a distillery really drunk one night. I was like, well, here's a 10 hours of video, watch it all, listen to these people, listen to their horror stories. Do you still want to do it? So that's sort of the mold behind it. Whether it works or not, we were going to see next week. But pretty much everything is sold out. So, you know, we're breaking even on it, so we're not out of pocket, and we're just going to have a little bit of fun, really. So, yeah, that's sort of the rough element of it. I'd be interested to see, because you guys have been involved in it, like just in conversations with me and different things, what your impression of it are, because I haven't actually had a chance to go out, sit at a pub and ask people what they think about this. I'm just sort of rolling with it.
I think it's great. I think it's, as you said, it's a wider conversation and topic and group sort of stuff, rather than, you know, I think you're right, trying to replicate the tasting of what you would have in the room is difficult. I think, you know, there's a lot in there that consumers probably don't want, and then understanding what they've gone to the show for versus what they haven't, and trying to hand pick out the right things gets quite challenging. So, you know, someone like SMWS, where you've got unique whiskies every time, it's a far easier call out. And so if you just did unique whiskies and new things, it's definitely the way to go about it. And as you say, that those debates and conversations, the big thing when I was running whiskey show, the tasting, yeah, the main event was big, obviously, but the dual draw card, the thing that Skinner and I spent toiling over and sure perfect, was the masterclasses. They paled in significance to the show, in a sense, because it was a case of, you know, I think the last one
drag people out of the show format, and people feel like something. Yeah,
and it's the chance to get people in a room. Like, I mean, we had who do we have? All three master distillers from Japan, so Shinji Fukuyo, Tetsuya from Nika, and I forget his name, from Chichibu. You know, all in the same room.
Ichiro Okuda.
Ichiro, so thank you. I mean, the same with Richard Patterson, David Stewart, and I can only ever remember two every single one I've done. But it was them in a room that was the most incredible thing. And it's the conversation, the bouncing of words between those. You know, I visited one for rum that was Luca Gargano, Richard Seal, and Alexandra Gabriel.
You got three that time. Well done.
it was the most dangerous conversation I've ever seen, and it was, you know, definitely, I'd hate to have been the person monitoring that event, because, you know, it might as well have just been a punch fight at the end, because it's just, you know, three exceptional opinions that don't agree whatsoever, and they completely disagree in opinion.
That's an amazing segue.
Oh. Segue away.
Segue into, what are we fighting about, boys?
Yes, good.
Hey! Yeah.
So
Speaking of war of words, what are we fighting about? Because we have fight night as one of these nights, correct?
Yeah. So the Monday night, which is essentially going to be a bit of a rest night before we get into some and like physical tastings as well. But yeah, I think you came up with the idea of fight night, Alex.
Did I?
Which is, I think so.
That's not like me.
So if anyone wants to throw like what we should fight about, I mean, because we normally fight about something anyway, so it might be good to have some structure, some rules around the fight.
We're basically putting it out to you guys, if anyone is still watching, that any topics that you might want knuckled out, obviously with no physical contact and social distancing, any subjects you guys might want nutted out, or if you're still sitting on the fence and you'd like us to push you off it onto one side, I think that it's going to be a lot of fun if we have you guys involved in what topic we talk about.
Yeah.
So, go, Scotty.
I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
I'll bring actual boxing gloves.
I have boxing gloves too.
I have Scotty. He's my boxing glove. I'll just him and shove him at people.
But yeah, I think that's like, I think why we're all quite excited, because, you know, the bit that you that a lot of people miss is just that that talk, that chat at the pub or the bar afterwards.
Yeah.
That's so. I mean, this is like one of the days that I think could go either way. Is on the Saturday we're doing big whiskey questions, and just like what you were talking about there, Milne, with the whiskey show in London, is there's lots of great whiskey at Whiskey Fair, and that's awesome. But it's actually quite easy to. Yeah, I think we can. That's a pretty much 3-on-1.
Absolute pro.
2-on-2.
Pro on the man bun.
Absolutely not.
As I think I'm the only
If you're
person.
a fan of the man bun,
I think, Matt, you're the only one that's had one, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Con. That thing's
Total pro.
no.
All right, I'll fight you.
No, that thing's way too hard to maintain, and it gets disgusting. So no. Con.
It's called wash your hair, damn it.
I did wash my hair. It still gets. Then you go, just no. Long hair sucks. Sorry, Alex.
if you like it, head to Victoria. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't mean that from a go and get sick. I mean,
No. We know what you meant, and then you just made it worse. It's okay. We know what you meant. You meant Victoria's full of hippies with long hair. I get it. Yeah.
I was out to dinner with like Ross Blaney and Daniel Hutchins-Reid and Lisa the other night for Taco Tequila Tuesday. And what happened was the four of us were sitting there, but we broke off into these two almost fights, completely separate fights. DHR and I were back and forth, and Lisa and Ross were back and forth. And then we all kind of looked at each other like, oh, we should not do this. We should actually like talk together. What were you guys fighting about? And they're like, I don't know. What were you guys fighting about? And I really think this is why I'm so excited about this, because I don't let opinions fly very often. Yeah. So
I want to see Alex unchained, just unleashed. I think this could be excellent.
Yeah, that's the after party. It's called Dahlenburg Unleashed. It's where she actually starts hitting people.
Yeah.
Hey. Only with hugs and love.
And gloves.
Craft has picked up on the same topic that I was keen to rant about.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's why something like this I'm quite excited about, because it's, we put a lot of great whiskey into a room for Whiskey Fair. But at a base level, that's a pretty simple idea. Good people, good whiskey room, you can have a good time. One of the best things about Whiskey Fair is just the people you run into that you probably haven't seen for 6 months, a year, from all over Australia. So that's part of what, the Saturday conversation, because we're going to do it like this, I think, and people are just going to jump in and out. And we're going to try and recreate that experience of just walking around any Whiskey Fair or festival, really. You just run into people, it's like, g'day, mate, how you doing? And you sort of like takes you an hour to walk around the room. Could work. We're going to see how that, or it doesn't. But I think that's what a lot of my thought process for this sort of thing is, why, I sort of was hinting towards that at the start of this conversation. It's like, what else can we do that this format, builds more of? Is if Whiskey Fair is different to everything else, how can Whiskey Forum be different to everything else?
Well, that's what I found at Whiskey Fair for me. No offense to any of the shows. I love the shows. I love going, but I love going for the people. A lot of the time, the stuff on the tables, a lot of us have tried before, or, for example, got it on the back bar. So I found it Whiskey Fair. I've been to 2 now, I think, that it wasn't under the table. It was up on the table. And that's sort of what I found.
I think we're in a smaller sector for that.
Yeah. I run around and go, what do you got under your table? Like, that's what I do at Whiskey Fairs. Like, oh, come on, give me what's under the table. So it sounds like that's what you're trying to achieve at the moment, Scotty. But that's a bloody
good comment. That's a bloody good comment.
Well, one thing that I want to talk about as well, or like throw into the mix, is on Monday nights.
Ian.
We're going to be talking on Monday night a lot about indie bottlers. Then we have Adelphi on Tuesday. Late night on Tuesday, we've got Stefan van Ecken from Non-Jada Whiskey Rising talking about Japanese whiskey. Wednesday, we talk with Bill and Tim Duckett about Tasmania specifically. Then on Thursday, we've got all those distillers from all over. So there's actually going to be a lot of content that comes up there. So I'm actually might reserve my topic suggestion until we get to like Sunday night. And I was like, well, did you hear what old mate said on Wednesday or what old mate said on Tuesday? Because that could be quite a... there could be some fresh wounds that I can exploit.
No, you don't do that, do you?
Yeah.
No, we're super pumped to be doing the Friday night with Forum. It's going to be really exciting because we've packaged all the miniatures up with mystery whiskey. With each cask isn't listed on the bottle, so it's going to be a case of see how you can what you think of it, where you're going to assess entirely on flavour, which is exciting.
Yeah, and I like the lead into Champs next year as well. And those correlations, obviously, it's a different sort of event, and you taste different whiskies at Champs.
Yeah.
But and this is why I'm fascinated about getting some of the wine people involved to talk. Okay, how do you what mental process do you go through? Because I know one thing that I just sitting next to Joey when we were doing it a couple of years ago, and he said you look like you're trying to pick what it is from what's in the glass. And I was like, yeah, of course I am. What else would you be doing? Is pick what it's not first, and rule out as much as you can, and therefore the pool of what it could be gets smaller. That gives you a much better chance. I hadn't actually thought about doing it that way. So there's a lot of that sort of mentality that I'm going to be quite fascinated to get into. And I don't know what any of them, I know what one of the whiskies are, but I don't know what any of them are either.
Sure, you don't know what they are. Yeah.
There's definitely something that I love. That was a bit of insight I learned in wine, as it was, decrease your serve slowly, and it's you don't start with the most drastic sort of. You break it down bit by bit. Is it old world? Is it new world? Okay, then you take that chunk out of your society. Okay, so is it cool climate? Is it hot climate? And you just slowly chip away at the rock.
It's funny because obviously we talk about wine, but we've done a few blind tastings over the years just in the back. The amount of times that I've confused Indian and Australian whiskey, and that's definitely Australian, it's Indian, or that's Paul John or something, and it was an Australian whiskey. It was funny seeing those sort of new world characteristics coming through, even in whiskey. Yeah,
that's so good, and that's the exciting thing. And by the way, just a huge shout out to Brooke Heyman, reigning champion of Whiskey Champs, who won 2018 Whiskey Champs, very much with a fair lead as well. So what a
yeah, and she had to sit on my table. And anyone who sat on my table, I think if is still around watching, he knows what it's like to sit at my table. Yes. It is a severe disadvantage.
Severe disadvantage.
I get bored about 30 seconds in, and I just start drinking and making comments. And so the fact that she won by as far as she did, having to sit opposite me, is
she's able to block you out somehow, which is amazing.
So she, I actually requested after she got bonus points. She might need bonus points for next year, just for the post-traumatic shock of having to sit on the same table as me.
Very cool. Well, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to have look, there's heaps of different things, and some of these might work, and some of them will not go potentially as well as some of the other things. Some will be suited for, but we're going to have a bit of fun. What I'm really worried about, that if it does go well, then next year I'm going to have to run both Whiskey Fair and fucking Whiskey Forum, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare. So if
we'll get through it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good fun.
All right, so everything kicks off from next Friday, right?
No, Monday.
Monday.
No, so Monday through to, and we're going down with a hurrah on the Wednesday, Thursday, so the week after, with a physical tasting at Archie Rose.
Yay!
A single cask, which is, I'm we've bottled some really cool shit over the years. The Ben Riach that we're doing this year is one of the most fun whiskies I've ever tried. But this Archie Rose cask is probably the cask I'm most excited, and in the past 5-6 years I've been involved with the oak barrel, in a real way. It's the cask I'm most excited about, and it is the best Archie Rose whiskey I've tried. And I've been lucky enough to try a lot of rye, a lot of single malt. It is the best one, I think.
G'day, Luke.
We're live. We're with Archie Rose for a live in-person event tomorrow night for us, which is the Challenge the Panel, and then I'll be working at Archie Rose. If anyone wants to see how much I can screw up some Archie Rose cocktails, I'll be there for the next 3 nights. But
I think I saw that last year.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm joking. You all want.
No. And it was Anyway, that'll be good fun.
Are you live streaming that, Matt?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be living it.
Awesome. Yeah,
you know it.
That's going to be good because I've said we'll live stream the Wednesday tasting. I don't know how that's going to work yet, so I'm going to watch what you get right first. I'm just going to copy you. I'm glad you're going first.
Good luck.
And of course, this is not necessarily a breaking news podcast, but everyone should have seen by now we have officially confirmed single malt release image and date for Archie Rose, the worst kept secret in Australian whiskey. It's November, December.
Yeah, it's the end of September release. 28th of September.
Yeah, and I think we are all looking forward to that.
And if I can be that person, I can just say that I've tasted it twice now, and it's bloody amazing.
And I haven't tasted it because obviously I'm not as important as you are.
I'm even wearing this T-shirt tonight. There you go.
What I have heard though is there has been a fair bit of Archie Rose sort of spirit on the market in single malt format. There's private casks. There's been independent, maybe bottlings, all that sort of stuff. Well, what I've been told is it's actually quite different to that because it's from the second generation of single malt distiller. Is that something you found, Matt, from that?
Yeah, it is second generation. It's all the I won't talk for them, but they've done a marvelous job of blending that spirit together and creating a very homogenized product. Yeah, it's.
Just because I hope this is really going to piss you off, Bailey. Robert comes in with another potential topic is smoother flavour notes. I'm going to say 100% yes.
Oh, that fight's on then, mate. You're out.
Absolutely yes.
Nope, you're out.
Because it's often the point when people want to come into whiskey first, what they look for smoothness. That's by the time you've had a few, it moves on. But smooth 100% is an entry-level tasting note for whiskey.
Tasting texture.
Doesn't matter.
Stop.
Good to be pro smooth.
Yeah.
No, I don't want him on my team. I only want true believers on my team.
And they say I'm the mean one, Andy.
I'll take that debate topic and I'll own it then. Done.
I'm like having flashbacks to debating at high school. Like I'm a little bit nervous and probably suffering PTSD from debates at high school with this, but we'll give it a go.
Is there anything else you're suffering from with this? Because I need to know all your weaknesses ahead of time, if you don't mind. So I'm really ready for this.
I can't wait.
Turn that weakness into a confidence booster. I once won primary school 2 grand finals in the one day. Won the Division
I
1.
think I got 2 stars once as well. So
hey, Scotty, we're not.
Div 1 grand final. Then
Scotty, we're not talking about pen licenses.
No. I never got my pen license, funnily enough. Then I ran after the game, the cricket match, to Castle Towers, which is a shopping centre, and won the debating grand final for Darcy Road Primary in the same day.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like enough people just sort of come up and say, Scott, that was, 20 years ago, that was a really impressive day. I just don't think enough people, recognise that. So if anyone wants to come up and say that to me, you feel more than welcome, 2 grand finals one day.
What? So why is it?
I got a duck in the cricket as well, but we don't remember that.
But why is it a grand final and not a final? Tell me that.
Because it means more.
Oh.
Because you have semi-finals and quarter-finals, preliminary finals, qualifying finals. The grand final crowns the champion.
And then the final.
Yeah.
It's the final.
Can we?
It's the final sports ball, yes.
Final.
Finals, yeah.
We might need an external or a couple of people in the audience, maybe a few regular watchers, to keep score. Because just listening to this now, I'm going,
yes.
Everyone has given themselves 10 points here, and no one else points. So I think if...
I gave myself 50.
Yeah.
You've literally just ruined my whole tactic in this.
Self-score.
If
Playing dirty, of course.
Yes.
Oh, represent the youth. No.
Yes,
if
Sam.
If you say youth, get out. No.
No, well, he's the youngest ambassador.
Nope.
I think it's Ute. It's
I'm
Ute,
I'm
not
scared
Ute.
of youths.
He
I'm
meant to say
scared of
yeet.
youths.
I think he meant to say yeet. He'll represent the yeet. Okay, good.
But maybe like Mark from Westmoreland. He's normally tuning in.
Yeah, we might need him to.
Backwoods are fairly regular. Vicky Dahlenburg, if she can put some bias aside, I reckon she's a fairly regular.
No,
No, she can't. She's that kind of mum. She won't put bias aside.
If
Let's
she's
get Vicky
Dahlenburg.
Dahlenburg.
Maybe Crafty wants to keep score. Maybe so. We'll put if anyone wants to be a judge or scoring, feel free to send someone a message.
Yeah, and please send me the message so I can work out how I can bribe you as well.
No bribes. No bribes.
No, definitely, bro.
Okay, Scotty, where are all the details for this? Where can everyone watch?
Yeah.
If you go to whiskyfair.com.au/forum or oakbarrel.com.au/live, they'll all be live streamed there. They'll also be on the Facebook, but everything's listed there. I'll post it in on the chat if it works here. But yeah, you can sort of look at that.
I'll be up for bribes.
We reckon of a strong bribe market here.
There you go.
There's the link. Cool.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just going to be a lot of fun, and I think
I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
By the same token, feedback is welcome from you guys, obviously, and anyone who's watching at home.
Yeah, awesome.
I think Crafty's confused.
Screw the bribes. I need to take cash in the bag.
Yeah, that is a bribe.
It's a bribe, mate.
That is the most obvious bribe.
And where are we going to post out to get more ideas for this fight?
I think we'll go on some sort of social media.
Yes, and maybe Oak Barrel or even in the event of Whisky Forum.
Yeah.
We can post a poll in there and then ask everyone to give us your ideas for your fights.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I was born ready.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We are sort of hitting the hour mark for tonight. So, I mean, did anyone get onto a second drink? I'm onto my second can of the.
Oh,
the
I've
good
tried
stuff.
3.
What do you think?
Sweet Pete's definitely my favourite, but that's because I always lean to Pete. Yes, so that one's been my favourite so far, the Sweet Pete.
Yeah,
I quite like the pure malt, just that tropical fruit explosion.
Yeah, it's pretty fruity.
Just like me.
Yeah.
Aww.
I thought you were a bag of nuts. We can finish on that note.
Like those nuts that are really hard to crack.
Thank you everyone who's been throwing all those comments up. Thanks to everyone who's been tuning in.
Yeah, so much engagement tonight. This is awesome.
So great.
I love it.
Yeah, big shout out to everyone on the Society stream, on Oak Barrel stream. Been great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to just finish off saying, I know we talked about live streams and everything. Since starting this with you guys, this has actually been a great thing for me. I would hate to have my face on fucking screen every single week prior to this. So I think live streams have been a great thing for that. But also through these live streams, why are we doing that?
You've been focused because you're giving
Can
us.
we not?
I like that trick.
I like that.
It's also brought out a whole new whiskey community for me. So I'm incredibly grateful for what you guys have done with this and also watching you guys every night. So prior to that, I didn't know Oak Barrels and SMWS streamed as much as you guys do. So yeah, I think it's awesome. And I think this Whiskey Forum's going to be badass too. I can't wait for it.
It's going to be awesome.
So that's it.
Yeah, going to be lots of fun.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you guys, as always. And we will speak to you all soon.
Yeah.
Done. Thanks for tuning in, guys.